filthy animal, and a Happy New Year.
This is your main event, Mark's podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Unhinged Radio Network Sports. I am your first host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, cat dad, and you've come for the wrestling, but you stay for the smooth sexual chocolate that is my voice. I am Troy, and with me as always is the main event collector and figure hunting warrior. He's the WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia and the Sid to my Shawn Michaels. It's Greg. What's up, Greg?
I'm torn to say who's the man or I gotta go.
You gotta say who's the man, or you could say you're the master and ruler of the podcast.
I'm gonna be using the word master when you say your voice is sexual, but that's never mind. Move on.
That's a different kind of master, but either way. Well, if anybody saw the title of the video and you've been hearing recent podcasts, you're like, did they know what the hell they're talking about when they mention their schedule? And clearly, I don't. Because
there's no they. I don't. I just.
Well,
I watch what you tell me to watch. So
yeah, you're like, well, yeah, you got it down. You're like, what's the schedule? All right, cool. And for me though, this is the first time I've actually ever made this boo-boo. So if you were expecting Final Resolution 2011, good news. We already did that show back on episode 81. So if you go back through the archives, it is there. So you can hear us talk about that and review the show. So, don't dismay. I don't know who is all like, woohoo, Final Resolution 2011. But, for those of you that were.
You can still have that attitude. Just go listen to the archives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And good news, you didn't have to wait all this time. We did it like a year ago. So, cool.
Looking back, it makes sense because it's, an even number. It's, 20 years at that point?
Yeah.
I know. OCD you are about it, so.
I know. I should have known with myself. But, I didn't think to go back and check. But I got into the very first match of the show, and I'm like, wait a minute. This sounds very familiar. Wait a second. And I started going through because I save all of my notes. And I'm like, we did this one. So and then I went back through our archives. I'm like, yep, there it is, episode 81. So
I'll be fair. I guess I should have known too, but I hadn't watched it back yet.
Yeah. So there you go. We've done it. So if you need some more TNA, we've got a ton of TNA in our archives, and we've got more coming up in the next year. So stay tuned, and of course, go check out the archives on YouTube and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. It would be greatly appreciated, and spread the love. Tell everybody you know about us, because we do a lot of this stuff. So
we're the best. Man.
And in the next year, we're going to be covering even more. So far, we've done WWE, WCW, NWA, ECW. We did one UWF event, a lot of TNA, and we did All In 2018. So, and we've even done some real bonus material with talking about the NWO's run in WWE, Kevin Nash, or rather Diesel in 1995. I want to say there were some others that are slipping my mind right now, but you guys can go back through the archives. You know how to do all that. But in the coming year, we're going to branch out a little bit and talk about some other stuff. See how that does, and see if you guys are liking it. But yeah, today you've been champing at the bit for this one, man. You're like, oh, you got to put it on the schedule, man. We got to do. It's time.
The bad ones are usually the good ones, though.
Yeah. So it is as oxymoronic as that sounds. That is correct. So, I don't know, man. It's an interesting show, to say the least. I'll say this: I was expecting something way worse.
Okay, I was gonna say this is not as bad in hindsight as I feel like I remember it being.
Yeah,
of course.
Right.
At the time, I'm 11. Was it 1995, right?
96.
I'm 12 years old. I everything WWE does, they can do no wrong in my eyes when I'm 12 years old. So I probably loved it back then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I look back at it, the results, I'm like, it's probably sucked. And then I watch it, like, this wasn't that bad. Now, certainly it's not great, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
We've seen we've done way worse. We will do way worse.
Of course.
I'm glad we're on the same wavelength with that. 'Cause I didn't think we would be, honestly.
Yeah, because you had built it up like we were about to watch, some of the crappiest crap that ever crapped, and I was like, man, this is gonna suck.
And I don't retract that, but it just like looking back at it, I was just looking at the results. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. It's garbage.
Yeah.
You kind of change your opinion when you're watching it back.
There are certainly some reasons that I will get into that why this show was not good, but bad, not good, not big league. But either way, yeah, I like I said, it could have been worse. We have reviewed way worse. All right, that UWF show that I mentioned. That was
one more time, I'm going to say it. We will cover worse still to come.
Exactly.
I'm looking at the schedule you gave me for next year, and I'm like, oh, that.
Yeah. I don't know specifically which one you're talking about, but we'll get to it.
It's a file you sent me a long time ago that's not complete, and there's one on there for next year. Not necessarily January, next year. And I'm like, gotcha. Oh God, I mean that literally. Good God, help me.
Well, hey, spoiler alert: we will cover ECW next year, so there's that. We're through with ECW for the year 2022, so thank God for that. But either way,
it's Paul Heyman, so like David.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, right. Well,
hey,
either way,
we are all about inclusion here. So Jewish, Christian, whatever, Baptist, Buddhist, everything. I'm not going to name them all. I got time. Nor do I know them all.
Right. Well, I think we should get into the news and notes because I didn't know there was so much going on in '96. Some of it is interconnected. Some of it's just kind of like, wow, that's kind of all over the damn place. But we'll get into it. And we've got a few segments that we haven't touched on in at least a few weeks, if not a month or so. So we'll get to those.
All right.
But first, we're going to pause right quick to let you know that the Main Event Marks is sponsored by Swift Lifestyles. Their clean energy drinks and focus enhancers, great tasting vitamins, and big brain nootropics that are made and shipped from the USA. Go to swiftlifestyles.com and use our special promo code Main Event Marks. That is all one word to get 15% off your order. It's Main Event Marks, all one word for 15% off your order. Now that we're done with all of that, we are going to take our first break. And on the other end of this, we're going to bring you the news and notes. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
It's that time of year where the Christmas holiday is upon us.
And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
And that means you should check out our merchandise store over at bonfire.com/store/Main Event Marks. There's variations on the Main Event Marks podcast official logo, quotes and sayings from the show, and more. We've even got a Christmas themed design. But we didn't forget about our Jewish listeners celebrating Hanukkah.
I'm Jewish.
You can get you or your loved ones some great designs on t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and more. They make great gifts to yourself or for Christmas and Hanukkah.
Jewish!
Go to bonfire.com/store/Main Event Marks and get yourself the official merchandise of the Main Event Marks podcast. We do take requests, so hit us up on social media for more merch. And have yourself a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, or a happy Hanukkah.
And a Happy New Year.
By God! Somebody's interrupting the Main Event Marks! Sit down, JR. It's just me, Kyle Sullivan, aka Shaggy Von Doom, your host of Here in Puckburg on the Hockey Podcast Network. I know, a hockey show on the Main Event Marks. Who would have thought? This is an invasion angle. Somewhere between the Nexus and when WCW tried to invade WWE, somewhere in there. But I'm over here just telling you that one half of your tag team champions over here, Greg, he told his story of his love for the game of hockey over on my show. And if you'd like to hear that story, all you have to do is search Here in Puckburg wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. In the meantime, Shagamania's got to go run wild on some other hockey show. So, just remember, quote the Raven, nevermore, take your vitamins, say your prayers, and oh yeah!
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back.
We're back.
Just to let you know, the Main Event Marks is sponsored by Shocked Energy. Shocked Energy is a healthier alternative to traditional energy drinks that gives the energy that gamers need while in a long session without skimping on their health. Their products come in a powder form to mix into your water. You can either choose the green apple or watermelon boxes. If you want to try both, you can get the sample kit, use our link in the podcast description, or simply go to shockedenergy.com. At checkout, use our promo code MAINEVENT, that's all one word, to save 10% off your order. That's promo code MAINEVENT to save 10% at checkout. Also, if you're tuning into a wrestling podcast to hear about wrestling and you want it gimmick and politic free, you probably want the same out of your products. Are you ready to ditch the gimmick coffee? Coffee Brand Coffee is fresh roasted to order using only the highest quality coffee sourced direct from farms around the world. They've got bagged coffee as well as K-Cups. Not into coffee? Well, they've got great teas and cocos as well. At Coffee Brand Coffee, their head coffee roasters have mastered the art of unlocking flavors hidden inside their beans. Each batch is custom crafted and curated to accompany unique flavor profiles. Click on the link in the podcast description or go to coffeebrandcoffee.com and use our special promo code MAINEVENT, all one word, at checkout to get 5% off your order. That's coffeebrandcoffee.com and use the promo code MAINEVENT to save 5% at checkout. It is news and notes time. Waiting on the crack. There you go. Well, that sounded bad, but you get what I mean.
This is fun. I just got that. Well, it's positive energy, zero sugar, poppin' orange, natural clean energy. That's the whole title. Dollar Tree special.
Energy.
Positive energy.
That's
There's no sugar in it.
There you go.
It's not that bad. It's not bad actually.
I'll say that's a pretty original name for an energy drink. I like it.
Yeah, dollar store special, by the way.
Getting into the WWF to start off here, WWF is essentially turning the Royal Rumble into a joint WWF AAA show.
No, they're not.
A bit, but yeah.
A couple of entrants is not a crossover. It's not a crossover. It's just a guest appearance. But yeah,
I want to say they had 10 out of 30. Which I mean, I know.
Wait, was it 10? I don't remember being that many.
I could be completely wrong on that, but I know there was Heavy Metal, Mil Mascaras, which I don't think he was AAA. He was just, a luchador legend. There's Perro Aguayo was there? Okay.
Yeah.
Puroth, Cibernetico. I ran out of names. There might be more, but...
are we counting the minis, too? Real title folks, don't get on me for that. That's what they called them.
Were they in the actual Rumble match?
They're not in a Rumble match. Well, a match on the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if that was AAA or if that was WWF or what. Because I know there for a while they tried to have a minis division. Didn't go.
And they tried multiple times, actually.
I know. I don't know.
They were at WrestleMania 3, so it goes back a ways.
I can't fault them for that completely because it's like, hey, you're getting them work, and some of them really could work. Like,
seen Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle was
He's
good.
One of the bigger names on the independent scene, and people might laugh at that, but he really is. People love that guy. So
El Torito was good. He could work. Was it something Nova or whatever? I can't remember. There's a show we covered not too long ago where it was like there was a guy named El Torito, but he was Mini Vader taking on this other guy. I can't Max Mini? Was that it?
Probably Max. It had to be Max Mini. It's only Max I know, but that was probably 1996 at some point, so something we did this year probably.
Yeah, most likely. But the match itself was not like fantastic, but Max Mini could work. So there was. I think you and I both agreed that the guy playing El Torito was not good, but some of them could go, some of them could not. But either way, the
problem is they're used as a comedy act a lot, and that's really unfair because we've seen them like we just said, we've seen them go before, and they're not bad.
Right. And that's the one thing I'll say about the match that they put on was they had comedy spots, but it wasn't necessarily a comedy match.
Yeah, but in hindsight, even like I don't want to offend anybody. What's the word? Just taller people.
Full
even
grown,
taller people have had comedy in matches. So is that really fair?
Yeah, right. So yeah, it is what it is. But either way, the undercard dark matches will all be AAA matches and won't air on pay-per-view, but are there.
Okay, then I will stand corrected on what I said.
But are there to help them try to fill up the 71,000-seat Alamodome. 4 pure AAA matches are scheduled for the show, and some of them will appear on the TV pre-show. One of them may appear on the actual card, and at least 4 of AAA's stars are scheduled to be in the Rumble match itself. I think I just mentioned 4 of them, or 4 or 5 of them off the top of my head. Anyway, despite being close to the border, AAA has never been able to draw in San Antonio, and mixing their matches into a WWF show probably won't help them draw the Latino fans that they're hoping for. Even in hot cities in California, Latino fans don't come out to see Mexican wrestlers on WCW's house shows there either. Pause real quick. I mean, most of the luchadors on WCW shows were not positioned to be anything special. They were just, oh, yeah, we got, cruiserweight luchadors on the show. Yay.
Let me name off the special ones for you. Rey Mysterio, Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon is not Mexican, by the way.
Right. Every once in a while, you could throw in one like every once in a while they do something with La Parka or Psychosis. But they had to dust him off and put him in there. They tried something here and there with Silver King, like not very long because he just didn't translate to American crowds, I don't think.
Yeah.
And then if you want to count Eddie and Chavo Guerrero, but I don't know if I guess they'd technically be luchadors, but I mean they weren't mask wearers. You know what I mean?
In hindsight, though, Eddie Guerrero, no disrespect, far surpassed that though.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. But, yeah, I mean, I had heard about this as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of specific like Mexican wrestling. I don't go out of my way to watch AAA or anything.
Well,
I think it's somewhat of an acquired taste, I think. And I'm not crapping on it.
For
it
sure.
gives me any crap. It's not my thing.
It's the same thing with Japanese wrestling. I mean, it's not for everyone. I mean, and that's not a knock. I mean, it's just like,
and let's be fair. Say something about GCW. I think it's garbage. I hate it, but people like it. I mean, it's still going.
Yeah.
So clearly, again, acquired taste.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not gonna comment on it much further than that. I will just say that is correct. So either way, but yeah, do you remember? A few years ago, AAA claimed that they were going to run Madison Square Garden and then pulled out after a while. They were
so hard at that.
Yeah, well, they were banking on because New York has a large Latino community, but
Queens,
most of them are,
yes.
Well, yeah, but most of them are Puerto Rican. I don't think a lot of them care about AAA, and there's not enough of them.
And Puerto Rico's got their own big thing too. So
right. And I don't think enough of them give a damn about AAA, like specifically. But I don't know.
I'm not a marketing expert, but I'm just saying that you shouldn't just be going after like your demographic. Like, AAA, got to get the Mexican demographic. That's a horrible way to do things. You should be trying to get anybody and everybody.
Yeah, well, they were doing it in New York because it was a large area, but they were also hoping that. There's a lot of Hispanics here, so, they'll come out for us if nobody else does. Like, not so much. But getting back to the story here, but there's hope that the WWF's huge marketing push in the city, that this may work out better than it has in the past. So far, around 9,000 tickets have been sold, and there's still 6 weeks to go, which is a good sign. But on TV, WWF is heavily hyping the 71,000-seat capacity of the arena, so even if they managed to sell 30,000 tickets, it would be considered a disappointment considering how hard they've been pushing for 71,000. The total attendance of 60,477 actually became the highest record live crowd in the Royal Rumble's history, with the 2017 edition of the event held at the same venue being the second largest.
And 2023 being held in the same venue. Let's see how big that one does. It's already It's already the most. I believe they said it's the most bought or sold tickets in Royal Rumble history.
Oh wow!
So,
by the way, now in the archives, Royal Rumble 2017. Remember the Rumble? That was a good Rumble. 1997 was. I mean, it was one that I remember for sure. I liked it. I've seen it quite a few times. The first time I ever saw it, because I didn't start watching wrestling until later on in '97, so I missed the Rumble. Plus, I didn't order pay-per-views at the time. But the first time I ever saw it was renting the cassette tape from like Blockbuster or whatever the hell. And I think
one second.
Yeah.
What is renting? What is a cassette? What is Blockbuster?
People can go Google this stuff. If you're listening to a retro wrestling podcast, then you should, and you don't know this stuff, then you just need to Google it. All right, because come on now. But either way,
if you're listening, you don't know. Make like WWF in 2002. Get the F out.
Yeah, if she doesn't know what renting and cassette tapes are, she's too young for you, bro.
Good Lord. Well, not wrong.
She might be one of Leonardo DiCaprio's next girlfriends. Anyway.
Or George Clooney, whatever. It's one of those handsome dudes that gets all the young chicks.
I think he finally got harpooned, man. How about that? I mean, don't get me wrong. The one that saddled him up was not exactly somebody to kick out of bed for eating crackers, but either way.
Good Lord.
The WWF are keeping their plans for Shotgun Saturday Night pretty well guarded. All Uncle Dave Meltzer knows is that it won't be a traditional wrestling show. They've got syndicated deals for the show in about 20 different major markets, but they're even keeping that a secret for now, so Dave doesn't know what cities the show will be airing in. They also aren't revealing where the show will be filmed from yet, other than some nightclub locations in New York City. Allegedly, AAA wrestlers will appear on the debut show. I think they do.
I've never seen a single episode of Shotgun Saturday Night. It never aired here.
Yeah, I know it was. I don't know if it aired here or not, because it was very, very short-lived from what I remember.
I do know that eventually it turned into a pre-Raw taping, so...
Yeah, they tried to do like ECW light. It was going to be in dark, small, intimate venues and be kind of gritty and whatever, but still somehow overproduced. I don't know how that works, but it just nobody cared, nobody wanted it. It just
I feel like it was all a catalyst for Brian Pillman to get back on TV too as announcer.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, they couldn't go full ECW, so they still had the WWF standards, and at the time they weren't going full Attitude yet. So Bruce Pritchard tells a story on I think it was the very first episode. Terry Funk was in the main event, and Vince, put it all on Bruce. He's like, you gotta keep things, you gotta keep things like tight and censored and everything. It's all your responsibility. And he's like, all right. And he talked to Terry about it. And he said, you gotta mind your P's and Q's. All right, Pritchard. And then he goes out there, grabs the mic and goes, your mother is a whore. And he said Vince gave Bruce a death glare after that. Like, how effing dare you? God dang it.
Yeah, put it on him. Let that loose cannon just go off.
Like, yeah.
That's really unfair.
Not the dude who bailed on you multiple times because his horse was sick. A couple things about that. First, I like how Bruce said every time he did that, like Vince just knew. He's like, that's Terry. So, he'd get those notes or those messages that Terry bailed and said his horse was sick. And he just, God dang it, pal. All right, well, where do we go from here? It's like, okay. And then the other thing I was thinking of, just like, you remember Bruce telling that story about when he blamed, Vince blamed Bruce for Goldberg's car effing up.
Yeah.
He's like, you just smeared all over the business. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can imagine him saying that. It sounds like something his TV character would say, but God, like I could hear him saying that. That'd be hilarious. The WWF.
That's what happens when you're a perfectionist, though.
Yeah, right. And he said, you single-handedly killed Goldberg's career. And he's like, awesome. Something that WCW never could do. None of their bookers. I did it in one night. How about that?
think the finger poke of doom and the heel turn in 1999 killed his career, but or was it 2000?
Yeah, cattle prod couldn't kill his career, but god dang, Bruce Pritchard, brother love ended Goldberg. God. Anyway, the WWF is claiming the buy rate for Survivor Series was a 0.8. It most certainly was not. Even the best independent estimates had it at 0.65 at the highest, and probably lower than that. The real number ended up being 0.58. That's hot damn. They really overshot that one. Oh, it was 0.8. Like that's like 3 million people more than actually, or well, not 3 million, but probably like 300,000 more than actually ordered it.
Little did we know how historic that show would be.
Yeah, right. I think
a loser debuted there.
90 Survivor Series 96. Oh yeah. That was The Rock.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I was thinking 97. I was like, oh yeah, 97 was historic. I'm like, wait a minute, who debuted? I was getting my years mixed up here.
So you have a calendar, bro?
Apparently not. Hey, I already effed up before the show started, double booking a show. So there you go.
Very fair.
Moving into WCW here. The WCW Nitro episode in Charlotte, North Carolina this week. North Carolina went off the air with Roddy Piper and Kevin Green fending off the NWO. After the show went off the air, Four Horsemen members Arn Anderson and Steve McMichael came out to a monstrous reaction to run off the NWO. Uncle Dave says it was one of the biggest pops in Charlotte in the last 20 years. So apparently the tape machines were clearly still rolling because this was tacked on to the end of the show on Peacock.
Getting that Mongo pop in.
yeah, that's it. Not speak ill of anybody, but yeah, I don't think Mongo was bringing him. Was drawing the house in Charlotte. But whatever. That and you get some of that Four Horsemen shine on you, man. Like in Charlotte, you'll be a god. Doesn't matter who it is.
In case you didn't know, he won the Super Bowl in 1985 with the Bears. So I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, right. If you don't know, he's going to bring out Mike Ditka to tell you. Oh, Lord, that was driven home. It's like, look, I know you're proud of it. You should be. The 85 Bears were super dominant, but
it's just funny how Brady has 7 rings. You never really hear him say a word about it.
Yeah, I don't think. I feel like, unfortunately, with the condition of Mongo, he might be nearing the end here. I hope not, but miracles can happen. But still, he's probably going to talk about like that. That's going to be the thing. Like, I won a Super Bowl in '85. Like that's going to be emblazoned on his tombstone.
Guarantee you, he wants to be buried with that ring. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. But guarantee you, he does so.
Yeah, right. But
I would.
Yeah, right. Tom Brady, though, I don't think on his deathbed he's going to be like, I won 7 rings. Like, we know, Dad. We have all the tapes. You made us watch them multiple times. Either way, on that same Nitro, they aired a video hinting that Nancy Sullivan was having an affair with Chris Benoit and has left Kevin Sullivan for Benoit. No, that would never happen.
Man, how that's going to age.
You're right. Benoit said that he was playing human chess and said, quote, "My bishop takes your queen, checkmate." Yeah. Maybe in retrospect, I'm not saying she should have stayed with Kevin, but I'm also not saying she should have left him for Benoit.
Yeah.
That's, man. Either way, it was bad. Bad.
Not good.
I'm not, like, I don't know, Kevin. So I've heard Kevin Sullivan's a nice guy. I just heard that their relationship was very volatile and there was allegations made of abuse. I don't know if any of them were true. I'm just saying allegations.
That little fool could abuse somebody, really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
right. Just squash him like a bug.
Didn't she watch TV? Hulk Hogan bounced his ass around a cage like a ping pong ball. So there you go. Pinball, I guess. Either way, speaking of luchadors, Rey Mysterio Jr., Psychosis, and Juventud Guerrera have all signed contracts with WCW, while several of the other luchadors have signed letters of intent to sign. Once the WWF and AAA started working together, Eric Bischoff panicked and rushed to try to get all the luchadors he could signed to deals so that they couldn't show up at the Royal Rumble.
I like how you sign a letter of intent to sign. It just makes no sense to me.
I think that's one of them. They were probably under a contract with AAA, I would assume.
No, I totally understand that. It's just like, I want you to sign this saying that at some point you're going to sign. Why don't you just sign then?
Yeah, I think it was like, it was probably a legal thing where it's like, legally we're under contract, so we can't, but, we'll make this pinky promise. I don't know. But this one caught me by surprise. In 1996, David Sammartino, son of Bruno, got a tryout at the latest WCW tapings and looked rusty, but not terrible.
That's a nice way of saying sucked.
Yeah. Really? You could bring in David Sammartino in 96. Well, I can't say that. They brought in worse. Or at least, yeah, I'll say worse. They brought in
Scott Putski?
That was the one I was going to name. There you go. If you're going to sign the Sons of Legends of Yesteryear, you're going down the list. Scott Putski is probably the worst. I would probably sign David before him. So, but yeah, everybody talked about. They said he tried really hard, and Bruno tried really hard to make him a thing, and it's just he wasn't Bruno, and he was just like, he was okay, wasn't great.
That's very unfair bad. Too, but
yeah,
but I get it. That's the stigma you get, though. When you follow your father.
Hey, there for a while in the WWF, he was Bruno Sammartino Jr., I think. And then they're like, he's David.
Why? Braun Breaker is Braun Breaker, not Braun Steiner.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying, there's a reason. And he's doing well.
Right. So. I think at this point, he's surpassed his father, I'll say that. He's, as far as stardom, Scott, whether, we can argue all day about, his ups and downs and whether he's good on the mic, whatever, that doesn't matter, but he was still a big star. So,
yeah.
Ron.
And you know where he went to school, right?
I'm not even going to talk about that, but Braun, I don't know where the hell Braun Breaker went. I don't know if he went to school. I
want to say Baltimore or something like that. Or was he playing with the Ravens? Something like that.
Did he play pro ball?
I think he tried out or something, didn't work out or something like that.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, it's like, I didn't know he played.
Played in college, though. It's where the Breaker came from, because Breaker is what they said he was when he broke through the offensive line.
Huh. Okay.
All that out of the he saddled him with is his name, by the way. So just something for fun for the little band boys. Oh, WWE did this. No, they didn't. He did. Idiots.
The only thing I'll say, most of the time, because they said that. Who else was that? They're like, it sucks that they gave so and so such a stupid name, and it was a female. She was like, yeah, I picked it.
Was it recently Mia Yim with Meechin?
No, it was,
because that is her name on Up Up Down Down. So there's that.
Right. No, this was somebody else. I can't remember who it was. They gave her. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, they gave somebody a kayfabe name, and she's like, I picked it for myself, thanks.
Oh, it was Taya Valkyrie, Frankie something.
Oh yeah, Frankie Monet.
Yeah. She said she picked it. It also applies to Alexa Bliss's theme, by the way. I can't believe they saddled her with that. She says, well, I wrote it and my husband performs it, so yeah, they didn't saddle me with anything. But hey, write little stories. Is
that a brand new theme that she has, or
she's been using it since she came back?
Oh, okay. I haven't heard too much theme music. Some, like, even when I look it up, like on YouTube or something like that, to try to hear it more clearly, sometimes it's hard. It's like you can tell sometimes that it's new, but they're obviously the ones that you know just by the sound of it right away, like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Anyway, they're planning to add more members to the NWO in order to have enough wrestlers to fill a 1-hour NWO show each week. Ugh.
How many times have we covered this story throughout the whole year of this?
Right.
We know it never comes to fruition.
Yep.
Part of me wonders if it was ever even being talked about. This is all just made up.
I think Bischoff talked about it. I mean, he.
No, I mean, I'm sure it was. It's like, ironically, it's like all you do is mention it.
Right.
Like, it never happened. So, did you even talk about it?
Yeah, well, that's because I know Bischoff had said his full intent was to have a full NWO show, so he wanted to have enough people to fill it. And it's like, okay, so I mean, like, I guess that's an explanation for this, but at the same time, like, dude, really? Yuck. Like, well, keep in mind here.
I feel like it would have been doomed from Jump Street no matter what.
Right. Well, here you go. This week they added Mr. Wall Street, and in recent Saturday night tapings, Scott Norton came out in an NWO shirt with the NWO music, so he's going to be joining soon also. Uncle Dave says that it makes the NWO less cool and exclusive when you start adding lower card guys like that in. Wouldn't you know who won the pony?
The Scott Norton one I get. He still is a megastar in Japan. Well, that one I
I
get.
can excuse that one.
But Wall Street? What the hell?
That one made 0 cents. You want to... And
well,
this guy,
I mean, Ted DiBiase was there. IRS was this guy. But still, I'm with you. It made no sense. But, I mean, there was a reason.
And for people who don't know who Mr. Wall Street was... And he later became VK Wall Street because, Vincent Kennedy. We're, taking a stab at Vince.
Holy crap. I didn't realize that. That's what the VK was?
Yep.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's...
Oh.
Yeah, that's...
Today's years old. There you go.
Yep. But anyway, yeah, so he was IRS or Mike Rotunda, whatever you want to call him. But, yep, there you go. Because nothing screams cool like Mike Rotunda.
There was a little plot hole, I guess that's the word, with that. I don't know if you ever remember this, but like, okay, he joined the NWO, right? Like there was an episode of Nitro where Bischoff came out, said you have like 30 days to turn your contracts into NWO contracts or whatever. Buff Bagwell comes out, he does it. A couple other people do it too. Later on, we see Big Bubba, I think it was Big Bubba?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Wall Street come out and do it. And then like a couple weeks later, J.J. Dillon says, well, okay, Buff Bagwell, okay, he changed his contract, that's fine. To BK Wall Street, he didn't do it in time, so he can't be in the NWO. And like later on, like before this and later on, guys, as you just basically said, just kind of joined at will. Didn't need to convert contracts or anything. But in this instance, they had to. It wasn't in time, so you can't be the NWO because you didn't. It made no sense to me. It still doesn't even explain it right now.
Yeah, right. That's really effing stupid.
Like going on that lot, did Hulk Hogan change his contract in NWO? Did Macho Man? Did the Giant? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm using logic here. I know I shouldn't, but
how dare you? Well, the other thing I was thinking, and you just mentioned him, and not to crap on this guy because I'm a fan of him, but it was stuff he was saddled with in WCW. Nothing screams NWO cool like Big Bubba.
Ironically, he worked for the corporation. I thought he was perfect with them as their muscle, as their tough. I didn't get that here.
Yep.
He was just kind of like, oddly enough, too, when he was like the muscle of the corporation, he lost like 100 pounds. It looked amazing. Here, he looked like a legitimate bouncer guy. Do anything.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. When he was in NWA in his first run in WCW or WWF, I mean, sorry. He was quite a large man, and like, gut wise, because like
I would say close to being morbidly obese.
Yeah, well, because everybody saw, like, if anybody goes back to our last one of our last podcasts, Starrcade '87, he was pretty damn big, man. I was like, wow, I forgot he was that large, but he slimmed way the hell down, especially by the time he reached WWF the second time when he was the SWAT man. He was enforcing McMahon's law.
Yeah, he looked amazing.
Either way, yeah, I know. I was like, wow, can't believe that's the same guy. But whatever. Something that wasn't amazing apparently is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is now selling something called Thunder Mixers, which are basically just really cheap blenders. Okay. I have never heard of that in my life.
Did you ever see the story about that? Like he missed the call or something for the Foreman grill, and George Foreman got it.
Yeah, he tells that story. A lot of people dispute whether or not that's even effing real.
I don't know either, but I'm just...
It's funny. Yeah.
As much as I love Hogan, George Foreman's more of a household name. So...
Yeah. He claims that was, supposed to be his brother. Like, sure.
Well, I guess it didn't work for him.
Yeah, right. And the George Foreman grill went on to be huge. People to this day are buying them.
You mean, I was gonna say, still, it was huge.
Yeah, right. But anyway, getting away from all that, this is a non-big 2, 3, whatever. 3 months ago, AWF announced plans for national TV syndication. Now they appear to be on their last legs. All the stations.
What company is this?
AWF. I'll actually talk about that here in a minute.
Sorry, I thought you said AWA. I'm like, what the hell year are we in? Okay.
I know, right? But either way, all the stations that they had syndication deals with have now been told that the AWF is basically out of money and will no longer be paying for syndication, which led to almost all of the stations canceling the show immediately. All future shows have been canceled, so the writing is on the wall. This actually was it for them. So
that
the American, yeah, it kind of does, yeah. But the American Wrestling Federation, AWF, was a professional wrestling federation founded by Paul Apperstein, who I'm going to take a wild stab and say he's Jewish. Was active.
I don't know. I want to assume.
Yeah, he was active from 1994 to 1996. No idea it lasted that long. Promotion was based in.
I'm today's years old. I'm hearing about this, unless I forgot all about it or something. I've never heard of this. So
I'll give some references here after this. But the AWF first of all, it was based in Chicago, Illinois, but held shows in many other eastern states of the U.S. The AWF used the European wrestling format of timed rounds, 4-minute rounds with judges and points in the vein of boxing matches. Another rule. Yeah.
Sounds so bad.
Kind of like that. What the hell was that title they had in Impact for a while?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I just forget the name of it. Yeah, perfect.
But the belt looked cool. I just like the rules were effing stupid. But anyway, another rule implemented was that throwing opponents over the top rope resulted in an automatic disqualification.
Yeah, we hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, their whole thing. First of all, they had like a lot of legends in there, like Sergeant Slaughter and Tito Santana was their world champion and whatever. He was like their big draw.
Sign my ass up.
Yeah, look, I like Tito Santana. I thought he was a great wrestler, and I feel like he was underappreciated a lot. But it's Tito effing Santana. He's not exactly a huge draw, even with the Latino community. And he was like their draw. He was their guy. And it's like, really?
Okay. I'm sorry.
Exactly Hulk Hogan.
We got to jump to the end here. Okay, he was their guy, and it's folding. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
What more do I need to say?
But they were they were heavily American and old school and all this other stuff. It's like, cool, whatever. And what I was going to reference to everybody is Wrestling with Regret has a video on the AWF, and Brian Zane runs it down real good, and sorry, hell yeah, and he talks about how much they drive home about, finally there are rules in wrestling that will be obeyed and whatever, and they just kept driving, and finally, and they kept driving home the rules. Oh, it's all about the rules and whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's, because when I tune into a wrestling show, that's what I'm really looking for is the rule book. And he's like, you got WCW and WWF out there running wild. And he's like, what do you got? You got wrestling and extreme rules.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's like, like nobody gave a damn, clearly.
That sounds eerily like Control Your Narrative.
Yeah, except Control Your Narrative's rules were like, there's only one rule. There are no rules.
It's just like
except
they
that there are rules.
They hammer home their whole thing. You know, that's like it's different, but it's not.
Right.
Why can't you just be there? I mean, not even AEW did that when they launched. It just launched to be a wrestling company.
When you're in the fight pit, here are the rules. Like, first of all, don't call it the effing fight pit. Like, I don't know.
So played out, dude. I'm so sick of hearing the fight. I mean, okay, they had the match with Riddle and Seth. It was good. It was great. I loved it. But again, the name's so contrived and so played out, man.
Yeah, that's become Riddle's match, I think, because
and he owns it. And he's great. He's only 1-1 in it, but he's still, kind of like the ladder match being Jeff Hardy's match. But
right,
but the name is
so with Undertaker.
Right, the name's so contrived though. It's like
I know
fight pit.
Who was the guy? Thatcher, Timothy Thatcher. That was it. That's who he faced. I had to think about it for a second. But yeah, I don't know. They were like so heavily into, nobody in wrestling follows rules anymore. It's like, I get it, but like now is not the time. Like when Ring of Honor started doing that, it was like, okay, we saw the Attitude Era that's been played out, and everybody else is closed down. Now here comes Ring of Honor, and they have rules and actual like European style wrestling and that kind of stuff. So
20 counts to the outside, which I still get, but
yeah, that one doesn't make any sense to me because like if it's this, like I know in Japan they do that, but they count like really quickly. They're like 1, 2, 3, and it's like it's the same. Like it all adds. It's going to add up to the slow 10 count. But either way, well. Here is a segment we have not done in a while, but this is the perfect episode to do this in. Well, it is What's Going On in Mexico?
Okay, I thought you were going to say ECW, but this is fun too. Let's go.
Well, hold on for that one. That's,
I have a feeling it's 1997. You better have one. I'd be really mad. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we actually have... We have one that's going to make you go, of course.
Cool.
Some of the stories in that, I was like, I'm writing them down. Like, I'm transcribing them, and I'm like, holy God. But
ironically, I don't think they believed in God. But anyways, let's go.
Paul Heyman says, I believe in the Jewish God, sir.
I'm sure he did. I mean, the guy's committing the violence, but yes.
Oh, well, yeah. I will have you know I wear this cross around my neck every night, and I still don't believe in it. Whatever. Anyway, getting into this, though. The latest on the Vampiro Conan situation is that Vampiro feels that it's better for his image to not work with Conan because he's trying to build a career as an actor and musician outside of wrestling. Yeah. I will say...
So Conan's working on a thing outside of wrestling music?
No, Vampiro.
Okay, sorry. Because like Conan actually makes some songs in WCW, if you remember. I think he does all the Filthy Animal songs, which kind of makes sense.
Huh. That one I did not know. I do know, I think Vampiro did do some work in like a punk/grunge band, whatever. I know.
I have no problem believing that.
Right. But he also tried to be a rapper later on, but like he was losing his hearing, so he just kind of gave up halfway through recording. Which, I mean, that sucks for him. But
okay, sorry, but he couldn't be a rapper because he lost his hearing, but he's going to be a rocker without hearing. Am I getting that right?
No, he did that. He did the rock stuff first. By the time he tried to do rapping, it was like way later than this.
Okay, I'm just trying to like, how does your hearing affect rapping but not rock? Okay, just heard that.
Right.
Wrong.
Well, hey, Pete Townsend apparently is damn near deaf because of the stuff he did with the Who. So
yeah, right.
But I mean, that's kind of what not saying he deserved it by any means, but that's kind of what you get for standing in front of the wall of sound every night.
But I do want to say, man, if you're going to go deaf, what a hell of a way to do it, man.
Yeah, right.
If it's not God-given, earn it.
Yeah, what's the only thing you hear in your head all day? Who are you? The song, not the question. But anyway,
they're a badass band.
Hell yeah. But the actor thing I can't really laugh at because that's another one. He was a what do they call it? Telenovela. Telenovela, yeah, telenovela.
Why the hell do I know that? Why did I know you were thinking that?
Hey, that. Do I need to say it?
No.
Anyway.
No, my family's not that kind of Mexican. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
We're not that Mexican.
Right. Well, he was like a telenovela star there for a while. I know that. I can't remember if Conan did any of that or not, but it seemed like they were always trying to one-up each other with different stuff. I mean, the thing is, like...
It's like you got to one-up each other with I got the better telenovela. No, I do. Pinche cabron, you got the best.
Mine's slightly less cheesy than yours. I know.
Have you ever watched it just for a minute, like any of them? Like just peek at for a minute?
I've seen clips on YouTube and I laugh my ass off.
So bad. Not that American ones are any better, mind you, but man, they're just terrible. The acting is like the fake crying. It's like, good Lord, this is bad.
Yep. Well, I know one of the main reasons why Conan hated Vampiro was, what I've heard anyway, is professional jealousy. They were in different organizations, and when Vampiro started coming up, he was younger. He was considered a pretty boy back in the day.
Looking.
And yeah, so he...
I was just joking, okay.
At the time, he was considered like, the young pretty boy, whatever, and he had the tattoos, and he was the bad boy and whatever. So, Conan got a little jelly there for a while. But either way, getting back to this,
I think it's pathetic. I mean, no offense, but neither one of you ever set the world on fire.
In Mexico, they damn sure did.
Well, in Mexico, yeah, but you talk about people like Austin and Rock, if they were like jealous of each other, they were literally setting the entire world on fire, not just one country.
Right, well...
That makes a little sense with them.
You got to think, we're looking at this from an American perspective. Of, it's like, who gives a damn? But
totally fair. I acknowledge that.
Just like in Japan.
Like my trouble.
Right. Like in, let's say in the 90s, if Antonio Inoki held a match over here, it's not like people are going to flock to the arena. Oh my God, we got to see Inoki and, sell the place out. In Japan, he was freaking God.
Yeah, that's true. And,
they said he was a bigger star over there than Hulk Hogan was in America. And that's saying something.
I heard he was a bigger star there than David Hasselhoff was in Germany, but that's a rumor.
Yeah, right. But anyway, Perro Aguayo is seen as a god by some in Mexico, and working with Conan will put Vampiro at odds with Aguayo, and thus might hurt his image in Mexico. I like that.
Grief, man.
I know, right? If you work with him, you and I are going to have problems. Shut the F up.
It was like 90210 stuff, man.
I can't put all this on Vamp because, like, honestly, Conan was just as bad at this. They've both, did immature sniping back and forth.
I've heard his podcast. He's still the same way, dude. He's holier than thou. He knows everything.
I will say,
I like him. Don't get me wrong. I do like Conan. When I was a kid, he was one of my favorites, man. Like in the NWO. But, dude, get your own head up your ass. Your head up your own ass, dude. Come on.
Yeah, right. You didn't like him when he was in the Dungeon of Doom? Come on, man. But yeah,
he was full on Cholo in the Dungeon of Doom, which still to this day makes no sense.
As if the Dungeon of Doom made sense.
I heard it. 2 seconds after I said it, I heard it. Shut up.
But I will say, well, let me finish this up real quick. As far as Vampiro being upset over a tattoo Conan got, apparently that's just a minor issue and not a big part of the heat between them. Okay, I have no idea what the hell that's all about.
It's a Mickey Mouse tattoo, like The Rock said.
Yeah, Conan got "Play My Effing Music" in Spanish tattooed on it.
Something, Piche Musico.
Yeah, right.
Again, I'm not that Mexican. Sorry, I don't know that, but I do know the basics.
Right.
If my father's alive, he can help me out. But okay.
Wow. God.
He's not.
Well, I will say, they've buried the hatchet, and this was years ago at this point. So I can't tell you when. It might have been 2019's Triple Mania. I don't know, but either way, it was at some Triple Mania there where they had a battle royal. Conan came out, and he's pretty much immobile, so he couldn't really do a whole lot. But he comes out and has his little minions beating people down while he wears a Donald Trump shirt and pisses people off. And an airbrushed Donald Trump shirt, by the way. And then...
So Corey Graves' brother does, too.
Yeah. And then Vampiro comes down. The place goes nuts. The babies hit the roof. Conan looks scared. And they get into it for a very short time. And he actually lets Vampiro, like, toss him. So... And Conan booked that whole thing, by the way. So that was 100% Conan booking that to happen. So obviously they buried the hatchet, and Vampiro's been on the Keeping It 100 podcast and all that. But
that's good, because you never know how much time you have in life, and you do not want to go to the grave. That crap.
Right.
I'm serious, man. Don't carry grudges. It makes no sense.
Oh, I'm with you, man. By the way, according to Google Translate, it is Toca mi maldita musica.
Okay. Where's
Toca
the pinche?
Mi maldita musica. Yeah, I don't know. It takes me a while to read Spanish, so there you go.
I'll also tell you, I've heard from many people who speak Spanish fluently that Google Translate is not always the most 100% accurate way to translate.
Oh, no, it's usually very wrong, because I would send it to a legit Mexican, and he'd laugh and go, yeah, it's actually this. I'm like, okay.
Real quick, let's circle back and say something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
In today's wrestling, wearing something pro Donald Trump is almost as cheap as ragging on the local sports team. It's just lazy.
Yep.
I want to say that. It's just
at the time, it was hilarious the way that Conan did it, because he would come out, he'd cut the whole promo in Spanish, by the way, and they'd be booing him out of the building. He's like, "No wonder my boy Trump wants to build a wall to keep you fools out." Like, holy God.
Okay, that's funny, at least funny. But I don't know. I just think it's lazy. I'm like, come on, dude, be original.
Yeah. Well, hey, there was that guy during the 2016 election. He had a suit that, like, the entire design was Hillary Clinton's face, and he called himself the raging liberal or something like that. And he had people booed the crap out of him, and he'd come out and cut promos on everybody, for not being PC or whatever.
God.
Yeah, and then Jim Cornette got mad about it and said he should have been the babyface or whatever. It's like, oh, God, just shut the F up.
You can't be a babyface ever with anything politics. I don't give a damn what side you're talking about. No, it's not going to happen.
Yep. Getting back to this, though, sticking with somebody else who was quite bitter in Mexico. Antonio Pena debuted a new character in AAA this week named let me try this again. La Calica. I don't know what that means.
Calica?
Calaca. La Calica.
Okay, so it's not a cat.
Right. No, not La Calico.
Okay, so
let's see. I just closed Translate. So
any chance his name was Puma?
What the hell does Calica mean? It translates to Calica. Oh, skull. Okay, there we go. The skull.
So Day of the Dead.
Right. Well, he's basically a heel version of La Parca. He even wears the same outfit, but with the colors reversed. White with black, or white with a black skeleton. Speaking of, one of the reasons that La Parca left AAA was because Pena wanted him to turn heel, and Parca didn't want to.
Well, you can't be a heel and a chairman of WCW.
Right. Who ever heard of a heel chairman? Stupid.
That's a good one, pal.
Good crap, pal. But yeah, so La Calica, I never heard of that one. They would eventually get a replacement for La Parca, which is stupid because he was never a heel. So if that was the entire intent, why'd you bring in the other La Parca as a babyface? Dumb. And
remember, you sometimes like get pissed at me for using logic. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know. Well, and to put a finer point on this, La Parca went on. I mean, he was a heel like in late WCW, and then like after he left.
Yeah, but why? Think about that. Why?
Yeah, I know.
Stupid.
But later on, like he's been a heel for most of the past like 15, 20 years, something like that, and he's like gotten major over with it. Was it like a Hulk Hogan moment? I mean, I'm not trying to compare him to Hulk Hogan. I'm just, the heel face thing. Was it kind of he's like, well, I need to change. And so he just started working heel? Or did he decide to be a heel because people found out he was kind of an a-hole? I don't know. And for anybody out there that, oh, he's dead. No. Okay, people still argue with me. It is not the same La Parka. The second La Parka, the one I'm talking about that was never a heel in Mexico, that's the one who passed away. So,
that was L.A. Park, correct, at one point?
No, the one that's still alive is L.A. Park. And he trademarked that name. And now his sons are L.A. Park Jr. and I think...
That name sucks so much, by the way.
L.A. Park. Yeah, I can't remember what the hell it was supposed to mean. Oh, La Autentica Park. So basically,
I just took it as a ghetto park in Los Angeles.
God, right? Yeah, no. For anybody that doesn't know,
MacArthur Park.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, LA is La Autentica, basically the real park. So there you go. And yeah, so he's still doing that to this day. And he had to do that because when he left AAA, Antonio Pena owned the gimmick, and he's another one that's passed away. I said he was bitter. I think he was. I'm not trying to crap on the dude. I don't know if he was a good man or not. Just saying he had a lot of very, crappy moments that made him seem like a bitter old dude.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, especially these owners of federations when they're like big, small, whatever.
I might go to one of the greatest of all time, Bret Hart, still to this day. Just bitter.
God, I know. Still hates Goldberg.
And I love him. Don't get me wrong, people, but it's true.
Yep. Last story from Mexico I got. AAA is negotiating with Sabu to bring him in for some shows. Meanwhile, All Japan Pro Wrestling... Meanwhile, All Japan Pro Wrestling has offered Sabu a 26-week deal to work there in 1997, but he hasn't accepted yet. He was a big draw in Japan, actually.
I will not deny that, and I won't. I'll take your word for it. But why? Sabu sucks.
Some of it. Well, I will say he did make a big name for himself, but what helped jumpstart him in Japan, I think, was the fact that his uncle was the Sheik. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Japan loves their deathmatch stuff, man, and he did a lot of stupid, death-defying stuff. So there you go. He was not afraid to use his body as a weapon. But
like modern day guy, Darby Allin.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, speaking of, I teased it earlier and jumped the gun on it a little bit, but here we are finally. This week in ECW. If I may have another volley.
Is that the BWO theme in the background?
No, that's the ECW theme. I just sped it up a little bit so I don't get trademarked.
I'm starting to wonder if they ripped the BWO theme off. I mean, I know there was a play on the NWO song, but that sounded kind of close.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, certain songs, like I've heard some theme songs like Double Speed or whatever, they actually sound kind of cool that way. But either way, Paul Heyman is saying that the date for ECW's first pay-per-view will either be March 30th or November 13th. Ding, ding, ding. It was April 13th. That was the date. He reserved both dates for now, but the final decision won't be made for a few more weeks. ECW has been trying to get guys to sign short-term contracts to make sure that nobody important ups and jumps ship before the pay-per-view. Easy for me to say. Uncle Dave says, quote, obviously Sabu versus Taz will headline. Hashtag plans changed.
Oh!
Yeah. What do you mean Uncle Dave was incorrect? Never.
That's weird. He's only incorrect like 98 out of 100 times.
Right.
It's weird.
Hey, you know what, man? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And he takes all the shots.
Oh, man.
It's like I always used to say, people like I've heard, like, I don't watch a lot of basketball, as you know, but I've heard people that actually do watch basketball and love basketball have arguments over Allen Iverson. One person will say, oh, he's so great, he was one of the best of all time, blah blah blah, and then somebody else will say he jacked up like 100 shots and would make like 60 of them. So yeah, you're gonna make a ton of shots when you throw up all of them.
I'm gonna agree with whoever said that.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was a ball hog, notorious ball hog. I do know that. So,
I don't think it's fair for me to weigh in on great shooters when my guy is Steph Curry. That's unfair. So,
yeah, right. even peripheral fans or people you wouldn't even consider fans know who the hell Steph Curry is nowadays and will make references to Steph Curry. So that's how you know when you're breaking through as the star or one of the top guys in the entire sport right there. So
top guy.
The only way LeBron James stays relevant nowadays is by shooting his mouth off. Other than that,
or tweeting his mouth off. God, be fair.
Oh, well, there's that too.
Seems to be a running theme with many celebrities, but yeah.
I know. Even ones that you're like, you're still living. You remember that from that the 2000 Grinch movie where
yes,
the Grinch sees his two moms for the first time?
I just watched that a couple nights ago, actually. Yes.
Ah, so many great quotable lines from that movie. It's because I'm green, isn't it? But anyway, this one got me just so much in the story, just like, whoa. Former Smoky Mountain Wrestling star Boo Bradley debuted for ECW using the name Balls Mahoney.
Okay, Boo Bradley. Wasn't that the guy with the tree and the Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah, he was Boo Radley. Mm-hmm.
Okay, close
because
enough.
He couldn't. Yeah, well, yeah, they had to change it a little bit so they didn't get trademarked, But yeah, I guess that was his whole gimmick. It was a play on that guy, and
yeah, because when I think of Balls Mahoney, I think of American masterpiece novel.
Well, he was supposed to be a little, special. You know what I mean? So I could see that. Not speak ill of the dead and just talk about what he looked like and how he.
No, not speaking ill of the dead, but let's also be real. Balls Mahoney sucked. Sorry.
Hey, I have a Jax figure of him.
I'm sorry.
He got over pretty well, apparently, according to Uncle Dave. Okay. According to Uncle Dave, he, quote, did something of a comical gay type of act, although apparently Paul Heyman told him not to do a specific gay act, end quote. What?
Oh, wow.
Was this like his first appearance?
I'm today's years old with this one.
Yeah. Can somebody who actually watched ECW comment on this for us? Because I have never heard of this. If this was real, then I want to know, because I've never heard of this before.
Okay, first of all, we know he was like a year ago just Santa Claus. Then he comes in as this. Then he becomes Balls. This guy was like saddled with garbage.
Well, he's Balls here, apparently. Like he changed his name from Boo Bradley to Balls Mahoney. But yeah. So this is the birth of it. But I never heard about him acting gay. I'm today's years old. Maybe, and this is just being reported on by Dave, so it could be a complete BS thing, but I don't know. Either way, when he does moves, the crowd chants balls. And
balls,
when his
balls. I don't know why I remember that.
Well, because so many people have done variations of that. Like Hack Myers, whenever he would punch someone, they'd go Shaw, Shaw, Shaw. Anyway, but that's when he does a move. But when his opponent does a move on him, the crowd chants nuts. I've never heard that one either. Apparently, that one didn't stick around very long because
shocked.
This next story is regrettable, but as is most in.
Oh wow! I didn't realize all the stuff you told us before was not regrettable.
Yeah, well,
okay.
It's because of.
All right, we're about to get muddy here, folks.
Well, the story itself isn't necessarily bad. It's just who's in the story, and I'll explain after this. Rob Feinstein is back.
Oh, okay.
There you go. He's back in an on-camera role with ECW as the newest member of the Blue World Order. He's going by the name 3.5, which is apparently a play on 6. I'm today's years old with this one too.
Wouldn't a play on 6 just be 3?
Yeah, that's what I think. Why did they think 3.5 is funnier? I mean, it kind of is.
I mean,
yeah.
Of course, you would have a 7 in WCW.
Yeah, right. Feinstein is still handling the video distribution for ECW. There's a joke in there that I'm not going to go to, but yeah. If you know, you know. If you don't know, Google Rob Feinstein.
Hold on. I think we haven't done this in a while. Go watch the Dark Side of the Ring, right? Isn't that on there?
Is that this? Rob?
That's the XPW guy, right?
No, that's Rob Black.
There's multiple idiots like this?
Yes. Rob Feinstein
I
was in ECW.
I don't know why I'm apologizing, but I was wrong. Okay.
No, this is a different creep.
Okay.
He did this. He was one of the founding members of Ring of Honor, which you can see him on multiple shows from Ring of Honor in the first few years. And then he had to drop out because, he also owns RF Video, or owns, still a thing.
It all just came to me. Sorry, go ahead.
For those that don't know, he allegedly did some did some stuff with some underage people, and did some time. But
I forgot all about that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I said this story. And
at least the other guy was just like a porn director, right? Not that it's good or anything, but at least it wasn't underage, right?
Well, it wasn't underage, but he did the porn, and then he did some porn that was I think he got brought into court for it because people were like, this is like
that's extreme. On Dark Side of the Ring, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's some extreme stuff.
Yeah. Yes, okay.
And yet again, he allegedly sent 2 goons to the house of the wrestler Messiah to cut off his thumbs.
Right.
So there's that.
This is pro wrestling we're talking about, right? Not like some mob mentality in New York, even though the mob doesn't exist.
Yeah. If anybody, I haven't watched it yet, but if anybody watches that new show, Tulsa King, with Sylvester Stallone in it, he says in there, he goes, they're like, oh, you work for the mob? He's like, mob doesn't exist.
Rocky worked for the mob?
Yeah, right. I waited my entire life to see Sylvester Stallone play a mobster, and he's finally doing it. The show is made by Tyler Sheridan, the guy who does all the Yellowstone stuff, and that's why, for both of those reasons, I really want to watch that show. It's on Paramount.
It's on Paramount, right? Yeah. They promoted the hell out of it during one of the football games.
Yep, and during Yellowstone, I know, shocker, but like right as you're going into the first or the last 2 minutes leading into a commercial break, they have a thing at the bottom says special preview of Tulsa King coming up, and it's like every commercial. But
when I think of Tulsa, man, I think of Sylvester Stallone.
Well, the whole plot is he's a mobster in New York that doesn't rat, so he gets sent to prison for years, and when he comes out, they send him on special assignment to Tulsa. So, and basically exile him off to the middle of nowhere. But it looks interesting enough. Either way, keeping on with this, what doesn't look interesting. Keeping on with none of these stories are good. I'm just going to get that out of the way now.
I feel like we hardly ever do good stories on these news, and that's what makes it so.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not coming out of ECW. Speaking of,
well, that was a surprise of the century.
Well, speaking of old Robbie Feinstein there, and his video distribution, Paul Heyman and Todd Gordon have instructed Rob Feinstein not to sell any tapes to the show from Revere, Massachusetts, where the mass transit incident happened.
I knew we were going to get into this.
Speaking of Dark Side of the Ring, this makes some wonder if there's any high-quality video of it somewhere that someone is sitting on. To this day, the only video you can find is fan cam footage. I don't know why you'd want high-def footage or high-quality footage of that, but there you go. I'm going to assume that's not one of them videos sitting in the WWF vault or WWE vault anywhere.
It could be.
Oh, God. Shane Douglas got into a fight at ringside with a fan at an ECW show. I feel like we just did this a couple of weeks ago.
I would be shocked.
Reportedly, the fan threw the first punch at Douglas, and he began to beat him down. The fan, that is. This led to Tommy Dreamer pulling Douglas away. Uncle Dave notes that Tommy Dreamer is kind of the unsung hero of the company because he always seems to be the one calming down situations like this. That's kind of funny that Tommy Dreamer is like the cool hand Luke around there. It's like he's the rational one. Anyway, he pulled Douglas back into the match, but Douglas was still furious and went back out into the crowd and apparently grabbed the wrong fan, threw him down, and started punching him, only for Dreamer to pull Douglas away again. Anyway, during the same match, both Douglas and Francine were both injured. Douglas hit...
Oh, freaking mess. It's embarrassing.
Douglas got hit in the ankle with an errant chair shot, and Francine may have torn her hamstring somehow. Oh, God. Maybe don't wear heels.
Rumor has it that Douglas gave him an F in class. That's why he went off on him.
Good Lord. This is just... this is garbage, man. And,
Today on the pod, we state the obvious, folks.
Yeah, right. I've got something else about the fans here in just a second, but Sabu and...
That's not a good segue.
Sabu and Perry Saturn had what most called the worst match ever in ECW. Man, that's a high bar to clear. Sabu was severely jet-lagged from flying back from Japan, and they pretty much missed all of their spots. Plus, the tables kept breaking before they were supposed to, and it just fell apart with the fans booing it heavily. Saturn would suffer from the exact opposite table issue in WCW, by the way. Also, a fan grabbed Sabu's hair, which led to Sabu slapping the fan. Good Lord, these fans are just garbage.
Well, you put on the garbage show, the garbage comes out, dude.
Yeah, that's what you attract, ECW. There you go. And I'm not saying all the fans are garbage, but this happens enough.
Just Philly fans, apparently.
Well,
can I assume this was in Philly?
It might have been. I really don't know. It's around that area. But just damn. If it is, I've never been to a wrestling show with Philly fans, but I've been to like sports games with Philly fans and, for various teams. And they're always causing issues. Every time the Eagles come to Cleveland, there is a fight in the stands. Every time. We're not even in the same league or conference, whatever. The Eagles are NFC. The Browns are AFC. There's zero rivalry there. Yet somehow, this crap just follows Philadelphia fans around. Sure, you can blame some of it on the Cleveland fans, which I'm not saying they're not to blame some of the times. But it's always guaranteed when Philadelphia comes to town.
Yeah, it's just, what's funny to me, too, is like it's not just the Eagles fans, though. It happens at like the 76ers games. I've seen fights break out.
When the Phillies come to town. Yeah, when the Phillies come to town. Friggin' fights at baseball games. Like, good Lord. You guys are just crap. Like, knock it off. ECW is still talking to Lance Storm about joining the promotion soon. That would happen. Meanwhile, FMW wrestler Gladiator, the future Mike Awesome, told the Japanese media that he is going to ECW in February. Also, WWF's Sunny was backstage at the last ECW arena show. I don't think she'd pop up there for a little while. I think she was still doing stuff with WWF for a while.
1998, 99, I think I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, she'd show up there every once in a while. She was just backstage. She was never on camera because she was with Chris Candido. So, was he even there at this point?
He was, yeah.
Okay. So, that would explain it.
Or he's about to be.
Yeah,
one of the two.
So if he was there, she was probably with him. At an indie show in Woodbridge, Virginia, the promoter no-showed the event, meaning that no one would get paid.
Hold on. Are we still on ECW?
This wasn't ECW, but it involves ECW.
I'm going to say, because this promoter has a name, show some respect.
Yeah, right. It was a fairly stacked card with a lot of ECW guys booked to appear. Well, then they should be used to not being paid to work. But Sabu versus Rob Van Dam was supposed to headline, but since they wouldn't get paid, they decided not to work.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah, if I showed up and they're like, the promoter's not here, we don't know if you're going to get paid, I'd be like, well, then I can't promise I'm going to go out there. So, sorry. Stevie.
Nowadays, you go out there to your merch table and hawk your stuff. I learned that from Matt Cardona.
Exactly.
But, not wrestling.
Yep. Well, and that sucks for the fans. It really does. But it's, not their fault. Why should they risk life and limb if they know they're not going to get paid or they suspect they're not going to get paid, Can
you imagine going out there, wrestling, not getting paid and like tearing a ligament or something? Can you imagine that?
Oh, God. Yep.
Like, what the hell would the point be?
And then you're definitely not getting paid for a while because ECW wasn't going to pay you to sit on the shelf. They hardly paid you to actually go out there and work.
Sure, we'll say they worked.
Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, Axel Rotten, and the Headbangers basically took over the show.
Oh, what an all-star lineup that is.
Right. And went out in front of the crowd and worked a bunch of comedy spots. I know, shocker.
Shocker.
Uncle Dave writes, quote, "At one point, several of the wrestlers were in the ring while an explicit Adam Sandler song was playing." What the
I get to be a little more special. Get to be a little more specific on that, buddy.
Right. And they were all pretending to jack off.
Holy crap!
Again, what the At one point, the wrestlers were doing a pass the hat for money with the fans and were answering questions for $1. End quote.
Okay, real quick, what's pass the hat?
They literally took a hat and passed it around to collect money.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was an innuendo or a drinking game. Sorry.
No. They were answering questions for $1. There you go. This is probably the only damn thing that got paid all night. So, hey, might as well.
You can go eat McDonald's with your pay for the wrestling show.
At least you got to eat. Good Lord.
Getting out of emphasize real quick, because someone's going to hear it. None of this is made up, right? I mean, well, I could be, but you got this from legit, like, quote unquote, legit source.
Hey,
because this all sounds like we're just sitting there BSing, having fun.
Yeah, who the hell could make this up? I mean, Uncle Dave has made up some wild shit, but good Lord.
Oh, man.
Speaking of
Didn't
wild
I tell
stuff.
you, by the way, at the start of this pod, the bad ones, the funny ones. I'm going to stick by that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of wild stuff here, Tiger Jeet Singh, who's the father of Tiger Ali Singh, was recently involved in a fraud trial in Canada. Singh and 2 other guys bought a condo complex for $7 million and allegedly tried to defraud other potential buyers somehow. Singh eventually turned on the other 2 men and testified against them on behalf of the prosecution in exchange for the charges against him to be dropped. The other 2 men were convicted. Man. So he wasn't just a heel in wrestling, he was a heel in the courtroom.
This is why he disappeared after a while, huh?
Was he with Ali?
No, not him. Not just Tiger Ali Singh, period. Like, he was on WWE, he won that Kuwaiti Cup, and then he was just gone. I wonder if this is why.
I don't know. I mean, this didn't involve Ali Singh at all, so I don't know
if
that had any bearing.
In it. Sorry. Okay.
No, it was just his dad.
Okay. Well,
Tiger
still, though, I mean, even
Singh.
if your father has that stigma, maybe you're going to keep him off TV, because he did disappear for a long time. Like, they were pushing him as a huge thing. He won that Kuwaiti Cup, and then he was just gone. And then he would come in later with Babu.
Well, this was a thing for, honestly, I think the reason they pulled him off is because he was hella green, but not like he was better when they threw him out there again. But I don't know. This story, I think, was probably a big story in Canada, not so much outside of it. But I don't know. Tiger Jeet Singh, for anybody who doesn't know, is actually like, he was basically like what the Sheik was, and he had a saber with him and wore a turban and all that. So it was different country, same gimmick.
Just say stereotypical Middle Eastern wrestler. We got it.
Right. A guy named Larry Burton, who is a friend of Jerry Lawler's, has been running some of the day-to-day business of USWA. Word is that he's been getting a lot of heat from others involved in the company. Lawler and Burton end up buying USWA from Jerry Jarrett here real soon, and then selling it to some other business guy out of Ohio. Yeah, apparently they took advantage of the guy from Ohio's inexperience, like lack of knowledge of wrestling.
We call it good nature. Took advantage of his good nature.
Well, the guy had no idea what the hell he was buying, and he was more than willing to pay for it. And then when he found out it was worthless and he wasted his money, he tried suing Jerry Lawler and got nothing out of it. So there you go.
Am I the only one that sees how stupid that sounds? Yeah, he's a wrestling. He didn't know what he was purchasing. He just bought it.
He thought, oh, well, I'm buying the Memphis territory and I get all this stuff. And it's like, no, I mean, yeah, but no, like, the guy was an idiot.
No.
I know. Staying in Memphis, this one was funny. USWA is also doing their own Nation of Domination angle, complete with Randy Hales now going by Randy X. God.
Like X or ECKS?
Like the letter X, like Malcolm.
Oh, then you're badass when you do that.
Okay. And Reggie B. Fine, which I think he should have kept that name, now going by Kareem Olajuwon.
Kareem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
You may not realize the significance of that, do you?
Isn't he a basketball player?
It's 2 basketball players. So there's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay, that's right. I was like, that doesn't sound right, but it sounds familiar.
He got lazy with that name. Okay.
Right. They also had black commentator Corey Macklin join the group as Malcolm Macklin. God. But later in the show, they turned on him and attacked him. This led to longtime announcer Dave Brown getting physically involved, trying to help Macklin. Dave Brown has been doing announcing for Memphis Wrestling for over 20 years, and Dave believes this is the first time that he's ever gotten physically involved in an angle. For people that don't know, Dave Brown was like a weatherman in the Memphis area for years, and like he was like a household name in that area. So that's why he stuck around for so long. People loved him. The only other one I can think of from that area that was big was Lance Russell. I don't know much from Dave Brown, though. Final story I've got here, it's MMA, and I normally don't have a story this big from MMA, but I thought there was a lot to get to with this one, so I figured might as well talk about it. UFC held their Ultimate 2 pay-per-view.
Clever name.
What a name. Yeah, right? What do we call it? Ultimate 2. Did you have a stroke? Anyway.
Or some kind of Tourette's, maybe?
Right. Stutter. Ken Shamrock went into the show with a broken hand and aggravated it in his first fight and had to withdraw from the tournament. Go figure.
Crazy to think we are 3.5 months away from him popping up in WWE. 2 really, because he showed up in the crowd, but 3.5 months from him doing something in WWE.
Yeah, hopefully his hand was healed by then. Tank Abbott's crew got into a fight with Frank Shamrock at the hotel the night before the show. Oh, color me shocked. At the pay-per-view,
Shamrock's usually a down-to-earth guy, though. So I'm not going to say he didn't start it. I don't know. But,
Frank?
Yeah.
I always heard that Frank Shamrock was kind of a loudmouth, but
maybe. When I met him, he was a really nice guy. But I mean, I know that doesn't mean much, but
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Tank Abbott's gone on record and said a whole bunch of crap. I remember when he flat out called, and this is what he said. Don't quote me, but he called GSP gay boy and kind of pissed people off. So clearly, he's got some homophobic issues and he was kind of a dick or whatever. But I don't know.
Kind of
nice to me. Well, I don't. But Frank was nice to me when I met him. I'm just saying. So he was a cool dude to me.
Oh yeah, Tank Abbott's a douchebag. So and he can say all that stuff he wants. GSP would have cremated it. GSP would have put him on the mat and humped him.
In both of their primes, GSP would have killed him.
Oh, for sure. And there is a weight discrepancy there.
You can list on one hand the amount of guys that GSP couldn't destroy. Okay, you have about 4 fingers left. So yeah.
At the pay-per-view, Tank Abbott knocked out Steve Nelmark, whoever the hell that is, in the most brutal fashion ever. They don't really go into to detail on that one. Don Fry beat Mark Hall in a short fight that led some to be suspicious that Hall had thrown the fight. Hall later admitted that he did, and referee John McCarthy also wrote in his autobiography that he realized that the fight was fixed as he was refereeing it. Good Lord, UFC was a mess.
That's weird because Don Fry's a legit badass.
I know, right?
He's got the most epic mustache since Magnum PI, by the way. But
oh yeah, that's right up there with oh man, I'm blank on his name now. Sam Elliott.
Yes. Well, that's a V mustache though. That's
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott.
You go Sam Elliott and then everybody else.
Yep. I go Sam Elliott, Burt Reynolds. You just mentioned Magnum PI. I can't think of his real name. Tom Selleck. And Don Fry. That's a very elite class right there. But midway through the show, Ken Shamrock was interviewed backstage and cut a promo on Tank Abbott, which led to Abbott and his people getting into a confrontation with Shamrock backstage. So he pissed off both the Shamrocks. Cool. In the main event,
I don't think they were getting along at this time. They might have been. I don't know, but I know they've had kind of a damaged relationship. But
and I found out years later they aren't blood brothers. Like they were both adopted by the same father. So
right.
There you go. In the main event, Fry beat Tank Abbott to win the tournament in what was probably pure luck because Abbott was murdering him until he slipped on the mat and fell down, which led Fry to get on top of him. Good Lord.
You know, a lot of MMA submissions come from pure luck, to be fair. So
yeah. Fry ended up suffering a broken hand, which needed surgery. Ken Shamrock also teased retirement. Well, sort of retirement.
Well, he did retire for a couple of years.
Yeah.
As we said, he's on his way to WWE right now.
Right. After what we just talked about, I can't believe that it was pure luck that like Don Fry was getting his ass whooped by freaking Tank Abbott. Like, really?
Well, not to go back to what I said, but in his day, Tank Abbott was a badass. I'm not saying he was like a wuss or anything. Just a dick is what you said.
And he was on Friends.
It's not like, yeah, right. It's not like he just lost to some like loser.
Right. Yeah, that's true. We're going to take our next break. When we come back, we're actually going to get into the event at hand. It's WWF In Your House 12, right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram, both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. Ugh. Another wrestling podcast. How many times can I listen to fans tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince's coffee these days? Enough! The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday. Bump Day, yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back.
We're back.
It's WWF In Your House 12. It's time. The date was December 15th, 1996. The tagline, Sharpshooter versus Powerbomb. Which I suppose could have worked if it was Vader in there instead of Sid as well. The venue was...
I don't understand what you mean, because this was Sid's pay-per-view, but whatever.
Oh, well, of course. It's time for Sid. But the venue was the West Palm Beach Auditorium in West Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah, that historic
Because when I think of Palm Beach, Florida, man, that's the one I think of.
Right. The attendance was 5,708, and the buy rate was 0.35. Not exactly setting the woods on fire with this one. They were like, yeah, let's get through it.
I watched it.
So, yeah, I figured you did around this time. Didn't you say you were ordering them all? Or viewing them all?
I never said I was ordering them all.
Yeah,
Nor
you
did I
viewed them
say
all.
this is going on at my house. I did not watch it at my house, so I can say that too.
Hey, I saw it. It was somewhere. That's all I'm saying.
It was down the street, my friend's house. He's no longer living, God rest his soul, but all I'm saying is, hey, it's where it was.
Did he at least leave you a scrambler box?
He did not.
Yeah, it's useless right now, but we open up with a crap ton of pyro. We go to commentary and then right into the first match. And boy, what a first match it was. It is Leaf Cassidy versus Flash Funk in 10 and a half minutes.
Shut up and take my money.
First of all, I'm going to be really honest. I liked Flash Funk. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. I liked him. So.
Yeah, I mean, he was interesting. It was. I mean, I like the guy behind Flash Funk. I mean, the gimmick was okay for the time. They hadn't used it and used it again and used it a third time. But anyway, thank God they already had everybody's money, because Leaf Cassidy would have just turned them right off.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
Just move on. You're pissing me off now.
But so Flash Funk got all the pyro for his entrance. Vince McMahon even stands up and dances with him when he gets to the ring. He is just so damn white, it almost hurts.
Tell me you didn't laugh with a straight face.
Yeah, I chuckled. I was like, what the F, man? But Funk hits
Shawn Michaels, dude. He used to dance with him all the time. Go back and watch.
Ah, nice. But Funk hits a 450 splash to win. Uncle Dave gave this trace stars. I only gave it 2. What do you say?
I gave it 2. How do you give this 3 stars?
Hell if I know, man. 3 effing stars. Like, even if they did some decent stuff, like, nobody gave a damn.
This could have been the free-for-all.
Yeah, for sure. But we get a commercial for the WWF Royal Rumble 97 before coming back to the show. After the fake Razor Ramon and Diesel enter for their match, we go backstage for Kevin Kelly interviewing Owen Hart and the British Bulldog with Clarence Mason. Oddly enough, Mason said nothing.
That pairing made all the sense in the damn world.
Yeah, that was stupid. But Kelly says that the cause of the recent lack of focus for Bulldog and Hart, Steve Austin, is there tonight. Bulldog says that he's not focused on Austin, but if he sticks his nose into his business, he'll take him out. Owen tells Kevin Kelly to stop stirring the pot.
He had a point there. What's stirring the pot?
But either way, this next match is Owen Hart and the British Bulldog with Clarence Mason defending their tag titles against the fake Razor and Diesel because, they earned a shot.
Yeah, sure.
This goes for 10 minutes and 45 seconds. So Cibernetico and Piroth randomly come out in the middle of this match and start pumping up the crowd. Sure.
I figure out why.
Cibernetico rips his shirt off and distracts the tag champions, and then they just walk off backstage.
That would distract me.
Yeah, it's like, hey there, Cibernetico. You're looking awfully buff and tan. You need me to oil your muscles?
Oil your pecs for you? Make you some tacos?
Good Lord. But
I can say it. I'm for Mexican. It's fine.
But either way, Stone Cold then comes out, and the British Bulldog jumps him. They start brawling as agents and refs run out to break them up. We get a Mike Sharp sighting. Austin.
Excuse me.
Iron Mike Sharp?
There you go. Show some
Okay.
respect. God rest his soul.
And he did oil himself the F up. And according to, I think it was Pritchard, he said he took like 10 showers a day.
Well, I guess he was the cleanest guy to work with, right?
Yeah, good for him, I guess. At least he didn't stink. But Austin's finally taken backstage. In the end, Razor goes for the Razor's Edge on Bulldog. Owen hits a spinning wheel kick on him, and then Bulldog flips over for a jackknife cover to pin Razor and retain the titles. Jim Ross is beside himself. Because if people don't remember, he was trying to sort of be a heel at this time, and he brought in these guys, so yeah.
Stupid.
Uncle Dave gave it 2.25 stars. I thought this was
God.
I don't know. I thought the distractions were stupid. I thought the wrestling itself was fine. I give it 3 stars. What say you? Maybe 2.5.
Are you high?
I thought it was a decent tag match.
I gave it 1. Man, this was terrible.
Damn. I didn't think it was that effing bad. But after the match,
I mean, hey, we disagree. That's fine. Man, I watched them. Now I'm starting to get that taste of it's time.
Well, after the match, Stone Cold Steve Austin runs back in the ring and takes out Bulldog's left knee. We now go back to the AOL chat area. If you don't know what it is, Google it. Where the Nation of
is responsible for putting WCW under. But go on.
Yeah, right. Ironic, no?
Very.
But anyway, the area has been taken over by the Nation of Domination. And now we go to Ahmed Johnson coming to the ring to be interviewed by Vince McMahon. Vince points out that at the Royal Rumble 97, Ahmed will take on Farouk. Johnson says that he's lost everything that he had, and all he has left is his fans. So now Farouk will feel his vengeance. Vince points out that Ahmed almost lost his life to a kidney disease, but Ahmed says that he already lost his life a long time ago, and now all he's got is his fans to keep him alive. This didn't make any sense. But the Nation of Domination theme interrupts him, and a spotlight shows that they're standing in the upper deck of the audience. Farouk claims that it's people like Ahmed Johnson and, quote, his people that are behind people like Ahmed Johnson that are setting, quote, his people behind for decades. He then calls.
This kind of made no sense. I'm like, because they're both black. If you're saying something a white guy, okay, I get it. But are you now dissimulating like there's a different kind of black? That made no sense to me. Like the overtones were stupid.
It's like one black guy to another saying it's like, well, you're holding your own people back, and and I'm trying to advance our people, and it was one of them. And he furthers this by calling Ahmed an Uncle Tom. He drops a bunch of other racial stuff. When I think of Ahmed Johnson, I don't think Uncle Tom, but whatever.
I also remember, wasn't he the first black Intercontinental champion? I think he was doing a lot for black wrestlers, but whatever.
Yeah, right. Well,
granted, Ron Simmons did a lot for black wrestlers too. So it's just like this mudslinging made no sense to me. Like you both did a lot for the black race in wrestling.
Yep. Ahmed challenges Farouk to come fight him right now and starts a chant of "You're going down, you're going down." How stereotypical wrestler of him.
Brian Myers still makes fun of that to this day.
Good Lord. But anyway, up next we get Hunter Hearst Helmsley defending the Intercontinental title against the Wildman, Marc Mero, with Sable in his corner. This goes for 13 minutes, 12 seconds. On commentary, McMahon and Jim Ross talk about Helmsley being court-martialed in military school, and McMahon acted aghast that someone would be such a bad person. It's an inside joke because as a child, McMahon was court-martialed in military school.
And he's from Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yeah, right. So if you know, you know. But the ref gets bumped near the end, and Helmsley grabs the IC title, but Mero blocks everything. The ref finally wakes up as Mero hit Helmsley, has Helmsley pinned for like 5 seconds, and the ref wakes up to make the 2 count before Helmsley kicks out. They go outside while the ref still recovers, and Goldust comes out, grabs the Intercontinental belt, and hits Marc Mero, and then Hunter Hearst Helmsley, laying them both out before leaving. The ref starts the count, and Mero recovers just in time to roll back in the ring and win.
Roll back! Sorry.
But he doesn't get the title. Uncle Dave gave this 3 1/4 stars. I gave it an even 3. What say you?
I gave it 2. Now, are we watching different shows, or this is maybe the most split we've been in a while?
I mean, the finish sucked, like, the last match, but all in all, I thought that it was a good match. I don't know.
I will say they have a better match, I believe. Is it in the archives?
Maybe?
No, we covered Buried Alive, where they're setting up the match the next night. They have a better match on the call, I'll say.
Yeah, they had a few matches during this era. It was a ongoing thing, and I didn't like all of them, but some of them were fine.
Triple H is one of my all-time favorites, but I'm also a huge Marc Mero fan, at least at the time. But
I like Johnny B. Bad. That's not a popular opinion.
I did too, but I like the Wild Man too. I thought it was fun.
It was all right.
I never understood why people didn't like him.
It wasn't my favorite, I'll say, but I don't know. Mero gets upset
now, though.
Say what?
I think he's a hell of a human being now.
Oh, yeah.
He's like a motivational speaker and helping people, so good for him.
Yep. But Mero gets upset about not winning the title and then rolls Helmsley in before signaling for it and hitting the Wild Thing, which was his shooting star. When Hunter finally starts to walk to the back, Goldust runs out and drops him in the aisleway, beating him down again. He has to be helped to the back after this. We now go backstage with Doc Hendricks standing by with Psycho Sid wearing a backwards baseball cap. That was something.
There's an inside joke there. We'll move on, though.
We see a clip from earlier in the day outside of the arena where Sid gets jumped by Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart helps break it up, and then Sid beats him down from behind. Sid then, we go back to the interview, and Sid says that Bret lost to Shawn, and Sid beat Shawn like a dog, so it'll be easy for him to beat Bret.
That is the logic.
Yeah, it's not bad logic, I'll say that. And he has half the brain that you do.
True, but I still wouldn't mess with him.
Right. We now go to this. It is the Executioner with Paul Bearer versus the Undertaker in Armageddon Rules. Goes for 11 and a half minutes.
Let me ask you a question, dude. When's the last time you sighed at an Undertaker match?
Yeah, he's had some doozies through the years, so I'll say that. And this shouldn't be bad considering...
This is close to the top of it, though, I'll say that.
Well, considering that's Terry Gordy under the Executioner match, you wouldn't think this would be bad, but this was Terry Gordy after some health issues. So
I was going to say, you have to remember, this is late in his life, Terry Gordy.
Yeah.
We're not talking Freebirds versus Von Erichs in their prime, Gordy.
Right. Or Japan, where he's suplexing and beating the crap out of everybody. Right. So, but this is basically just a Texas death match. When the Undertaker exposes the floor to go for to drop the Executioner on it, Mankind runs out and tries to chop block the Undertaker, trips and falls on his face, and then pulls the Undertaker down by his leg. They brawl up to the stage, and the Undertaker throws Mankind through the giant window of the house set, and then through the door from the other direction. Yeah, it was cool. They were tearing that damn thing down. When they're in the ring, dorks in security shirts hit the ring and spray mace in Mankind's eyes. While he's being taken care of, the Undertaker takes the Executioner to the backstage area and out of the entire arena. In the ring, security strapped Mankind in a straitjacket and are leading him away. Undertaker finally tosses the Executioner into the outside fountain and then comes back alone to beat the piss out of Mankind. Executioner comes back, eats a tombstone. And he makes the pin, and the referee momentarily forgets the rules of the match, and then he remembers, oh yeah, and he starts counting to 10. That's how you know this was the end, because he counts to 10, and he declares Undertaker the winner. Terry Gordy in a Texas death match that sucked. You'd never think it was possible, but here we go. It was a damn mess. Uncle Dave gave it 2.5 stars. I gave it 2 because there was enough carnage to keep me interested. What say you?
I gave it, at first I gave it 1. I bumped it to 2. I was like, I did have fun watching it at least. There's some fun stuff. And you can't really give a match a dud if you at least enjoyed something. So I gave it 2.
Mankind had to get involved just to add something to this.
You say that, but I think that might have been one of the saving graces of it.
Well, no, I wasn't saying that ironic. Like he had to get involved to make this somewhat watchable.
In that regard, I agree. Yes. Yeah. If you had to have something else in this.
Right.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it would have been even worse.
This would have been a better 2-on-1 handicap match or something, But
right. Well, the Undertaker exits through the crowd before we go back to Doc Hendricks standing by with Bret Hart. We see a clip of that fight on Superstars earlier yet again. Bret said that he only stepped in to stop Shawn Michaels from ruining his chance to take on Sid tonight. Shawn's music hits and interrupts the interview, but Bret refuses to yield his time. He says he's sick to death of hearing about Shawn Michaels, and now it's about Sid, not Shawn. And after tonight's match, Bret will be more than happy to take out Shawn. We now go back to the arena and see Shawn Michaels enter into the arena, pose, and sit at the commentary table to join Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, and Vince McMahon. And that takes us to our next break, right before the
Real quick,
event.
I want to say something about what you just mentioned, like Bret and Shawn feuding.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure their next match is Montreal.
Yeah, it's
kind of ironic, right? You see them fight for a year. That's insane.
And comments I'm going to mention after the main event here. It's like, yeah, I could see where Uncle Dave would get this, but we'll talk about that all on the other side of this break right here. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Thomas, and what's your name?
I'm Alan. Yeah. We're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah. Same mother and father.
Your room was...
we shared the room.
Shared a room?
We shared the room.
Thought I knew your face.
Yeah, we go way back, mate. Yeah.
We should do a podcast then.
We have.
We do a podcast?
We do a podcast.
What's it called?
The Broadcast. Yeah, that was planned.
Yeah, well.
What do we do?
Well, we cover all different things in the world of pop culture. We're talking about comic books, we're talking about professional wrestling, and we're talking about movies. Go back and watch classic retro wrestling events, the likes of WWE, WCW, and if you do like that, you can check us out on Apple iTunes, also on Podbean, Anchor, and on Podknife. Also check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast. That's BROKAST. K-A-S-T. Nearly stuffed up the ending.
Hey, it's all right. Good on you.
Yeah. Instagram also at the Broadcast Podcast.
Remember, we don't spell it with a C. We spell it with a K.
Salute, mate.
Take it easy.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back. Main event time. Psycho Sid defends the WWF World Heavyweight title against Bret Hart in 17 minutes and 4 seconds. On commentary, Michaels made semi-shoot comments about Bret being arrogant and also tore into Sid, saying that he'd be nothing if guys like him weren't carrying him every night. Yikes. About halfway through the match...
No filter.
Yeah, he was kind of a brat. Well, not kind of. He was a brat.
You're keeping it PC or a PG. I like that.
Yeah. About halfway through the match, Bret Hart is outside of the ring while the ref is distracted. Stone Cold Steve Austin dashes out to the ring and chop blocks Bret. Asians hit the ring and grab Austin before British Bulldog and Owen Hart run out to attack him. They finally break it up and take everyone to the back as Bret limps into the ring. Sid seems confused, which is probably his normal.
Shocker.
And he asks if Bret's hurt before attacking him. Why would you ask, are you hurt? And then you just beat the piss out of him.
You wanted to make sure he was hitting the right spot. I don't know.
Right. Well, later on, outside of the ring, Bret and Sid fight over near commentary. Shawn stands up and Sid pie faces him before getting back in the ring. Shawn gets on the apron just as Sid throws Bret into him and then hits a powerbomb on Bret for the pinfall win. Uncle Dave and I both gave it 3 stars. I thought it was a pretty decent match for Sid. What say you?
I gave it 3 as well. Match of the night, which I don't think we've said about a main event in a long time on this show, by the way.
Right. Well, it is Bret Hart, so... Hey, Sid's best matches came with, guys who could actually freaking work. I love, you and I talk about we love Kevin Nash, but he wasn't exactly one for carrying people. And Sid was a heavy load. So, and I like Sid too. We talked about that, but he was never going to put on a great match unless he had somebody to be there and carry him, kind of like what Shawn said. But after the match, we can see that Bret's nose is bleeding. He gets out of the ring and socks Shawn Michaels in the face before pulling his shirt up over his head and beating him up like a hockey player. After Bret takes off to the back, Shawn eventually gets up and starts flipping out in anger. He almost even punches fans as he walks to the backstage. Sid, who is supposed to be the heel, starts fist-bumping fans and celebrating.
I love that.
I mean, it was cool. He was clearly over, but still, it's just funny.
I compare it to what's going on today with guys like Seth Rollins. I think they're just screw it. They're not going to boo him.
Right. Keep in mind, he's the heel and he's fist bumping fans. Shawn is the babyface, and he nearly gets into a fight with a guy in the front row.
Yep. And we're still not, what is this, December? We're 8 months away from Shawn officially turning heel, keep in mind.
Yep. Well, Shawn comes back and grabs a commentary headset to tell Bret that he's a punk and he's going to kick his teeth down his throat. So, to wrap up here, this event featured some technical difficulties during the show, and those who ordered the event on DirecTV, Request TV, and Viewer's Choice were allowed to watch the broadcast again days later. How beware of dog of them.
Dude, there was a problem with their technical stuff, too, at Buried Alive a couple months prior, remember? So
I forget about that, yeah. Good grief. It's always Shawn. It's something about Shawn Michaels. Yeah, because they kept mentioning
all of this was in 1996, by the way, because Beware of Dog was 96, too.
Now
so it's like, wow, that was right. That was a bad year for production, man.
Yep. Well, if they kept mentioning it on Peacock, I had no idea that it was going on. So, but Uncle Dave says that WWF's latest In Your House pay-per-view was fine, but nothing special. It was basically just a throwaway show. Sid kept the title.
Thing he could have said.
Right. Sid kept the title, which sets up Shawn to win at the Royal Rumble next month in his hometown, which then should lead to Michaels versus Hart at WrestleMania 13. Well, yeah, about that. Not exactly. But that takes us to our final break of the show. When we come back, we're going to tell you final ratings and what's to come on the podcast next week, right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper of TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. Expert fantasy advice, free contests, leading expert medical and legal analysis, and most importantly, you. Interact with us on all social media platforms or check us out at tssfantasy.com. You can hear us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. Check out the fun today and be a part of the most interactive fantasy show around. TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan McCarthy and I'm the host of the No Credentials Required podcast. Start your work week with the Monday Drop-In, where I talk about the sports beat in the Capital District, also known as the Mighty 518, as well as Metro New York sports from an upstate point of view. I also give a life lesson from a weekly sports story, so you might learn something from that. I also have a midweek podcast where I interview different sports personalities and talk about a wide array of topics. Take a listen and subscribe on your preferred podcast app, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Also check out our social media channels on Twitter and Instagram, BellyUpNCR, and Facebook.com/BellyUpSportsNCR. We're a part of the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network in association with Godzilla Media. No credentials required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back.
We're back.
Final ratings time. Internet Movie Database gave this 5.8 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 4.78 out of 10. I mean, I think I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 for C-, D+. What say you?
D+. It passed.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't think it was the crappiest crap that ever crapped. Like we talked about before, we have covered worse stuff,
and we will.
Yes. Looking ahead, we will. But I don't know. I built this up because I just kept hearing like horrible things about this. I think people are a little too harsh on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's time. I don't even think this is the worst in your house. I can think of way worse than this.
No, that would be that the one where Goldust debuted. I believe the whole one sucked. Was that the one?
Maybe
October 1995. I want to say that was the one.
Yeah, it sounds like that sounds right. Season's Beatings, I don't remember being great. I think that was the one it was called. The one in December of 95. I think that was the Hog Pen match.
Yeah, wow, what could go wrong with that?
Right. Yeah, and there were a few with Mabel that, like near the top of the card.
Let me stop you there. They were all with Mabel that sucked.
Well, yeah. I can't remember which one it was. It was him versus Yokozuna when Yoko was
the second one, the Lumberjacks?
That was probably it.
Because I believe the first one wrestled Adam Bomb to get into the King of the Ring. So I want to say it was the second one.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember, like, obviously Mabel sucked, and Yoko was fairly immobile by that point. So, God, it was just two big, meaty men smacking meat. But that does it for It's Time. Finally got that one out of the way. But we are moving
Next
on
time,
now.
Feeny, you and me. Texas Deathmatch. Loser leaves town.
Good Lord. I did not notice until I was going through, actually, and I'll talk about it here because it's a bonus show coming up. I was going through news in 95, and that's when Vader was on Boy Meets World, was in 1995.
He had multiple appearances. People act like he was just a one and done. He has like 3 appearances, I want to say.
Yeah.
2 for sure.
I know for sure. I remember when Mankind was on there when they went to college.
Yeah.
He, like, randomly burst through the wall, and he's like, "Where am I?" I freaking love that.
Him and Matt Lawrence were debating, I think, which Backstreet Boy was the cutest. I don't know why it still gets me to this day. I thought Nick was a cute one.
Oh man, so many good memories. The bonus show. Speaking of 1995, we've messed some things around. I have like changed my mind like 5 times on the schedule. So we're going back. We're actually doing another like news centric episode, and yeah, we're traveling back to the year 1995 for.
Oh, there's a twist.
Yes, this one we're going back for Extreme Championship Wrestling. So instead of this week in ECW, it'll be more like this year in ECW. So
I agreed to do this, but I want no credit for this whatsoever. But yeah.
Well, hold on to your asses for this one. I didn't realize this until I was going through setting up some stuff for the show. Apparently, a lot of people really liked ECW 95, and some people that were analyzing it said, well, WWF and WCW weren't exactly doing anything great in 95, and then you got ECW coming along being the different, organization. They're doing something that nobody else is doing, so they came along at just the right time. I guess? I don't know. But we'll talk about it all. We're going to run down the news throughout the entire year of 95 for ECW, as well as kind of talking about their big major shows and all that. I am halfway through our notes, and it's very Sabu heavy. I'll say that. And
sorry,
what the heck? But anyway, that is coming up this Friday for the bonus show, and that's dropping just a few days before Christmas. And then the next time we speak to all of you after that, it will be December 28th. We're closing out the entire year with WCW Starrcade 1992. Yes, it is officially WCW now. Ted Turner owns the product. You said you watched it all, and well, I guess we'll keep your thoughts on it until next week. But I'm judging by the way you talked about it, it's a show.
Oh yeah.
Well, yikes. Anyway, happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to all of our listeners out there, by the way. This is night 3, if you're listening to us now. So have us on in the background while you're lighting the menorah and all that good stuff. That's the only Hanukkah tradition I know about. I don't know if there's anything else they do every night, but there you go. But thank you all for tuning in and listening. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Yeah, sure. Garbage.
And we'll see you all next week. Actually, we'll see you all this Friday with our bonus show on ECW 95. And next week with Starrcade 92.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.